Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
The truth shall set you free.
You can't handle the truth.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
That's not how the Force works. Oh, really? You're cold?
I'm gonna make him an offer again.
I'd buy that for $1.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Hasta la vista, baby. I don't have friends. I got family.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
I can do this all day.
Yeah, I know.
Hello and welcome to Creative Control Podcast. Thank you very much for joining us for episode 23. On this week's episode, that we're going to be talking about our top 10 movies which are set in a high school. So not going to be a lot of competition for places. So again, this is going to be a collective top 10 from all of us. So what we're going to do is going to go around, each give a film to nominate, and then we'll probably have to end up fighting it out for the last couple of places. So joining me for today's podcast, we have Jessen, Greg, and Sacha. How are you doing, gentlemen?
Great.
What have you been up to this week? Sacha, what have you been up to?
Recovering from the flu. Not the COVID, but like some disgusting kind of, the kind of cold where you're like, that you got the lurgies kind of cold. It's one of those ones. Yeah.
Well, man flu. You had man flu.
It wasn't man flu because I wasn't like a pussy about it lying up in bed. I just I took a paracetamol and I'm fine. Kind of thing. Man
flu is a thing. Don't play the man flu down. It is a thing.
So, yeah.
Watch. Toe the line, my friend.
No, I'm just saying when the man flu kicks in, then it's like,
then you really
that's
know.
KO. That's actual KO knockout shit, man. But like, yeah. But I did 2 of those like COVID tests, and actually it was the first time me doing those COVID tests because
so
says oh my god, I fucking hated that. But yeah, they all came back negative. So yeah,
it's not like you leave your house anyway.
Yeah, that is true. So I self-isolate anyway these days.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, it's become the standard. What have you been up to, Greg?
I've been working. I've been chatting to a friend in America, although between the many things we have in common, she knows nothing about film. So, but yeah. Just much. And
really. Just for the viewers and listeners, Greg's actually helping me do our new logo. So we're having a little bit of a refresh, making something a little bit more fun. So I have no Photoshop skills at all. I can put things through DaVinci Resolve and get a video edit out there, but in terms of Photoshop, I literally all my previous logo, the one that's on everything now, and all the slides and everything is all PowerPoint. I got no Photoshop skills. So Greg's helping me put some more professional looking slides in, and hopefully a bit more fun. So, and Jessen, what have you been up to?
I've just been a bit working, been busy, working on this film project that's been going on for a couple of years now. Been working with Sacha on, and just preparing on that and keeping myself busy and geeking out.
Cool.
Watching Farscape again. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, for some listeners who don't know, Jessen is an actor. He does that as a gig, his thing. And, he's popped up in lots of various things and some background work. He's been in Star Wars and all sorts. Get reposted on Facebook quite often. But Sacha and I, we also used to make short films. So if you want to check any of those out, I entered some competitions for like make your own advert competitions and little short film competitions. You can check that out on YouTube. There's a link on our channel. But if you search Dead Canary Films, you'll be able to see them there. And Sacha, tell us a little bit about your films. Where can they see your stuff?
Just on my main YouTube channel. Just type in my name. You'll find it.
Sachman, Sachland. What are we looking for?
Just wherever my name is, you'll find it. It's like a treasure hunt. Go find it. I'm not here to sell my shit. Let's talk movies.
We're trying to talk about your movies. All right, let's talk about movies set in high schools.
Can I just say, just to interject quickly about that? I actually have an IMDb page just because, even though I have done acting and trained in acting a long time ago, but since then I've I've done. I was music supervisor for a film that got released in the cinemas and things like that. So we talked about it on the sports thing, The Penalty King, which is why, even though it's not very good, or I had to give it honourable mention and stuff. But I also, at one point I was co-producing and presenting a TV series that ended up on Amazon on 4 continents. Yet I cannot find a way of putting that onto IMDb. It is so fucking convoluted. However, of my 2 credits, including The Penalty King and music supervision, I am also credited as Harrow lighter selling guy on Sacha's videos. That's on there. I can't get Amazon on there for the fucking life of me. I've got an award-winning television show that was shown in Germany, Japan, England, and the US. And can I get that onto my IMDb? Can I fuck? Am I that guy going, "What lights repaired"? Yes, that's on there. So, which I thought I am.
Can they still get it on there?
It's not. It came off of Amazon recently. It came off of Amazon about just a few months ago, but it was on there for many years on such. But it is on YouTube. But it's on. There are they're not the abridged versions. They're the same, exactly the same versions that were broadcast, but they're similar ones. So, and that's on YouTube under
Gamers. All right,
so.
cool. All right, well, let's talk movies, and we're going to create our top 10 movies set in high school. So, when we were kind of talking about this episode, we were trying to set some parameters in terms of what constitutes a high school movie kind of thing. So I didn't want it to be, it could be any genre. So I wasn't, it could be horror, it could be sci-fi, it could be action. We're not narrowing it down to that. But the high school, college, or, that education environment has to kind of play a fairly major part in the movie. So, if there's just one scene in a high school, we're not going to count it, or we'll fight and argue on here. But, for instance, Spider-Man Homecoming, could you argue that's a high school movie? It's kind of set in there, there's the dance in it, but the amount of time they spend in the high school, maybe not so much. But, well, we'll get to it. This is what will happen.
But it's going to be Battle Royale because it's on my list. But then if that's not on there, then I'm.
Let's go. All right. So what we're going to do is we're all going to go around and nominate one movie. We've got some of the other people on Creative Control who couldn't be here on this episode, which is Neil and Amrita. So they've given us their list. So we're going to maybe have a look at their ones as well to make sure we can try and represent what they had in mind as well. So I'm going to start off with Jessen. Do you want to give us your first movie that you would put in the top 10 high school movies?
My one was The Faculty.
Okay.
It's a classic. All right, I'm going to be straight honest. It's got all my favourite women in it. So that's one of the reasons why I like it. I'll be straight up.
You pervert!
I'm high.
Yeah. So that if I knew that was allowed.
Okay, so
I'll be honest.
So I know The Faculty was on pretty much everyone's list. Chris as well, he had his list, The Faculty, but not many people probably know about that movie, depending if you're at a certain age. It's 1998 the movie came out. And it was Josh Hartnett, Elijah Wood, so some big names at the time. Who've obviously gone on to do bigger things, but like a lot of younger actors, they start off with like horror movies or these kind of teen movies before they become something else. And so, Greg and Sacha, fans of The Faculty?
Hell yeah,
it's on my list. I think it's one of the more obscure ones. I think most of the ones on my list are going to be, you do a poll of most people, they'll be within the top 20, if not the top 10. The Faculty, I think is a more obscure choice. Not particularly obscure, but yeah, I love it. I think it's one of only 2 noticeable horrors that are set in a high school. I mean, maybe 2 or 3 or 4, but yeah, I just liked it, and it's pretty much solely set in a high school, so it definitely
passes that criteria. Sacha, if for somebody who hasn't seen The Faculty, unless they're like in late 30s, 40s like us, how would you describe the movie without giving away too much?
Horror movie set in a school.
Cool. All right.
Also, currently,
but it's not really giving away too much. The
like,
horror elements displayed right at the start of the movie, setting the tone that it is a horror movie. Literally in the first 5 seconds of the movie, and then it goes into high school kind of normal kind of high school flick, and then it reverts back. So do you know what I mean? It's not really a spoiler, you going into it knowing it's a horror, because they more or less go right at the start, it's a horror. So
and it's a Robert Rodriguez movie as well.
Yeah, probably one of the few that he didn't write himself. It was actually written by Kevin Williamson of Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer fame. So, I think it was Rodriguez's first foray into studio movies, and
Okay. Right, moving on. Great.
And it's a really good cast.
Sorry, Jessen, go on.
No, I'd just say it's a really good cast. Apart from Salma Hayek, there's some great actors, like from the well-known genre actors in it.
Yeah. So for listeners who haven't seen it, definitely go check out The Faculty. Greg, what is your movie you're going to put forward for the top 10?
I guarantee this will be on the list as well, but I'm going to say Dead Poets.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that on a lot of lists, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that was on my big list. It wasn't in my top 10 because I go by what I watch all the time kind of thing, but it was definitely one I thought of for sure. Mainly because Robin Williams is just fantastic in it.
He's amazing in it. It's got one of the most iconic endings in of movie history. Captain My Captain. It's been parody, it's been loved, it's been copied, and it's been. Incidentally, I know this is slightly digressing, but go watch if you know Dead Poets Society. Go watch the SNL Dead Poets Society parody. Add it to your YouTube watch list because it is the most brilliant parody you'll ever see of it. But anyway, I'm digressing. Yeah, Dead Poets. I just love the cast. I think it's great. It's got a young Robert Leonard who goes on to do stuff in like House and things, but he's just a great actor. It's got I forget his name, Ethan Hawke. It's got all these great people. But Robin Williams steals the show. So just great movie, very moving.
Okay. Jessen, any thoughts?
I have to make a bit of confession. I have to make a confession. I haven't seen it.
Wow.
I haven't seen the film. I know. It's one of those things where, Sacha, you're shaking your head. I get it. It's just one of those films where I've not seen yet. Always on the list, but just I've seen the clips. I've seen like Robin Williams' speech and that famous speech he does, but I haven't seen the full film.
I mean, it's an older movie. It's 1989. So I would have been like 9 years old when that came out. 8 years old rather. So I would have been 8 years old when that came out. So it's obviously not a film that I watched then, but obviously when I got into my teens, it's one that people spoke about. But saying that, I probably haven't watched it since my early 20s. Not a movie that I've revisited. Maybe it's probably about time I do. So, okay. All right, Sacha, moving on. So let's get your first film that you want to nominate for our top 10.
My first film, funnily enough, it's American Pie. Mainly because this was my generation's teen flick. I was at the right age, right time, right somewhere. Sure, I'd seen like Breakfast Club and stuff beforehand, but it was our generation's high school flick, and it was kind of top. It kind of topped everything that was out at the time. It still holds up. Kind of typecast a lot of its stars, but hey, shit happens, Stifler. But it's just such a good movie, man. And I've seen it countless of times, along with everything else on my list. But when I think quintessential high school movie, that was top of my list every time for some reason. I'm like, is it better than American Pie? And then I can quote this film. I could quote a lot of the films on my list, but this one I could quote like word for word, and it's like, But I think I understand everyone's number one's going to be different, but it was literally, for everything that I said just now, it was the high school movie of our generation kind of thing growing up. Greg's a little older, so I don't expect him to have that at number one, but that's my personal reason. So
Who's
You. You were always the mature man out of my group of friends, Greg. The guy with the worldly experience that got us into those nightclubs.
It's not the experience that you dance, but yeah, no, I must admit that that was on my list, and then it wasn't on my list, and it was my float. It was my 11, and so many times it almost replaced something. And now I've still got about 4 kind of hard, soft places that could easily be placed higher. So I agree 100%. So yeah, it was very much on my sort of list, but it's not didn't make the final 10, but it easily could and still could. So.
No, I think that for us, a lot of people would have had their different movies, 60s, 70s, 80s, in terms of what their type of comedy was, like Caddyshack and all that kind of stuff. But when we talk about high school movies and the high school comedy, I suppose for us it seemed like it really pushed the boundaries in terms of what we could see at that age. So it was all the suggestive sex and like the nudity and was it Shannon Elizabeth? It was like made a pin up of her and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think it definitely it makes my top 10 list. Obviously it was one of those first kind of movies that kind of spawned that huge franchise where they, despite having the sequels, that had all those spin-off movies, like the made for DVD, made for TV movies with that name. I think they might have had American Pie, like Band Camp or Beta House or whatever it is.
Yeah, I never really watched those ones. I've only seen the ones with the original cast.
It
but I'm
leans
aware
into
of
the
them.
name.
But
it just leans into the name just as a selling point. I think 1 or 2 of the characters maybe like Stifler like make a brief cameo in them or something. Well, they started to, but then they kind of really distanced themselves because it just got really cheap and just a really easy way for people to be drinking and girls to get their tits out. I think the first American Pie in particular just kind of sticks with us, definitely. Okay, so let's have a look. So what am I going to pull from the list? Okay, so for me, I'm going to put this in because even though the high school part of it maybe it isn't in it as much, it is all high school students. It is around everything that's going on there. So for me, I have to put Back to the Future in. It is set on, obviously the main thing is he has to get his parents together for the dance. But it's the whole thing starts with him trying to be part of the band, or get his band up to play for the front of the school. Yes, obviously it's got the time travel element, but he's chasing his father around the school, trying to get him to like get his mother together and all that kind of stuff. So for me, I think it is kind of that, it might be a little bit borderline, but for me, it is essentially high school. It's all about high school students. It's all about the gangs and the groups, the jocks and everything has got all that in it. So that had to make it for me. Any thoughts on that?
that was my number 2.
That was my second. Yeah, same.
Future's one of the greatest films made. And my faults are it's borderline of how much of it is in high school. I know a lot of the premise is getting your love and fight together in the high school and stuff, but a lot of it plays out. So my argument is I'm going to be quite sort of benevolent and go, okay, no, it's awesome, I like it, but if you push back a Spider-Man Homecoming, I'm arguing. We will count minute by minute how much is in a fucking school and look at that as a percentage of the running time. And if you think Back to the Future, then
I honestly think that I'm going to back Greg on this one because I think Homecoming makes a very strong case, especially if we're going to. I would put Homecoming in there personally. Out of all the Spider-Man films, that is the one that feels more like a Breakfast Club kind of movie.
Yeah.
And, I would have said the original Tobey Maguire one, but that only spends like about the first act in high school.
Yeah.
So that that was probably one of the biggest mistakes, that it didn't spend enough time in high school. So
jumped forward a bit too quick, maybe.
Yeah, I think Greg's right, and I think I'm arguing Greg's case. We need.
All right, let's see if he puts it up as a second choice. Right. So okay, so we've got 4 films at the moment. So we've got The Faculty, Dead Poets Society, American Pie, and Back to the Future. So, Jessen, what is the second film you're going to put forward?
switch around a bit because we talked a lot of the stuff I actually was going to put in my thing, but it's Mr. Holland Ops. I don't know if anyone knows about this. This is a
What did you say?
Dreyfuss film in the 80s. I watched it, Mr. Holland Ops.
Opus.
It's about Opus, yes. Sorry, Mr. Holland Opus. Has anyone seen it?
No,
I've not heard of it. No. I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
It's got Richard Dreyfuss in it from
okay,
Jaws.
sorry, Mr. Holland
It's a
Opus.
beautiful
Right, okay,
film.
got you,
Yeah, it's a beautiful
Okay, so
film.
why are you putting that forward?
So it's about this musician, composer who, because it's set in high school, he retires as a musician, becomes a music teacher, and it's based on a true story about Holland, and it shows how his influence in the music and teaching it's from the 60s all the way from 30 years of his career, and he kind of regrets he never did this piece of music, but what he finds out how much influence he had on his students and how better their lives were. It's a beautiful film, really, really good, and it's set in high school, and it's about music. And if you want to know about music and you want to learn about music, it's a great place to watch a film about music.
Okay, Greg, have you seen the movie?
I'm not sure if I have. I think I have because it rings a bell.
Mm-hmm.
I knew the name, and it rings a bell. Just make a thing. More frustratingly, and I'm not trying to digress here, and I won't explain what it is yet. Just based off of hearing that, I've now just added two more to my list, and I'm now trying to figure out which ones to get rid of. So this is just a can of worms, Jessen, can of worms. But it sounds
I think like Greg says, I think I've seen it many years ago, but I was probably too young at the time to appreciate it.
Yeah, I've only seen it.
So it just kind of was forgettable for me. So it's probably one that I have to revisit. It is, generally quite well reviewed movie and stuff like that. So. Okay, well,
you got an Oscar nomination. I think.
We'll stick it in. We'll see if anyone's going to fight you for it, for that place, but it's going in for the moment. So, Mr. Holland's Opus, it was 1995. Okay, so Sacha, have you seen Mr. Holland's Opus?
No, never. I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, same. Okay, all right, it's in there for now. So, Greg, what is your second film you're putting forward?
I'm going to put forward
Easy A.
I've actually, on my initial list, I had, and I'm not trying to push forward three all at once, but I had Easy A, Heathers, Mean Girls. I could have also, as a synonym of all of the above, I could have had Clueless. Clueless didn't hit so much to me. I'm not going to be going around going, oh my God, he's such a Baldwin. Mean Girls I find funny. I thought it was just very amusing. Heathers I found good at the time, but some of those have been replaced by some of the things that Jessen has prompted in my head. But Easy A, I just love Emma Stone. It was a starter, sort of creating turn. It's very funny. It's very irreverent. It's such a great concept, and just a great feel-good movie. And I've seen it so many times, and sometimes if I see it, I'll just go,
it's a very easy watch. I've seen it through probably a couple of times, but I know I've seen lots of bits of it. So like if I've channel flicked and it's on, I'll kind of stick with it for a little while, maybe until there's a commercial break or something like that. Suddenly I'll click on something else, forget to go back of it. But it's I definitely would class it in that category. I think for me it was either that or Mean Girls for me. But for me personally, it's Easy A. I think it might be. I don't know if it's different for women because I know a lot of women prefer Mean Girls as a movie. It's probably the collective because you've got the different characters in that group and they probably speak to them in different ways of people they've known in high school and stuff like that. But I totally get that Easy A. Jessen, Easy A, have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it once, a couple of times actually, maybe. It was funny. Emma Stone is just one of those actresses who can do comedy and drama, and just it's based on the Scarlet Letter. Yeah. Very funny film.
Sacha, Easy A.
Never seen it.
Oh really?
No,
surprises me.
No clue. Never seen it. I think it was playing at the cinema at the time, but there was other stuff going on and stuff, so it just kind of went off my radar completely. And I didn't know anyone really picking it up or talking about it that would make me turn my mind round and go see it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've not really pursued it, years later, because it's just never been on my radar. But because you guys have like highly recommended it just now and they made a song and a dance, I might give it a go, in the next coming weeks. So for sure.
All right.
I mean, it's got Emma Stone in it, so how bad could it be?
Well, yeah, exactly. And I think this is the film that really highlighted her as an actress. She really came to the forefront after this, so it's a big launching pad for her. Yes.
She just always made a splash in those two. It was this that really made her, and but it's also got some great, supporting cast. It's got Thomas Hayden Church. It's got Stanley Tucci and an actress who's amazing, and I forget her name, who make the best parents ever, the most children's and hilarious parents you'll ever see. And it's just a great film. It's even got Lisa Kudrow in it, who's actually, possible.
Okay, so let's move on. So, Sacha, what is your second movie?
Well, because Back to the Future has been taken from me, we'll go to my third, The Girl Next Door.
Oh, interesting choice. Ooh.
Girl Next Door is one of my favourite movies of the early 2000s. It's got Eliza Cuthbert and it's got Emil Hirsch.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Emil Hirsch? Yeah, Speed Racer himself is up in there. And when I watched this, when I watched that film, I was just like, oh man, like that. It's just so funny. It's just so funny. I've seen it. Like, I own it. I've seen it like loads of time. So I used to have the movie poster up in my room. It's gone now. But
no, that's a really good shout. I've seen that movie plenty of times. And I think you kind of forget maybe how much of it actually is in the school. So, because the whole ending and they're making the porno and all that kind of stuff, it's all in the school, isn't it? And stuff like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay.
It's my turn to do what everyone else has done. So I've never seen it. I know the premise. I know what it's about, but
love it.
That's really interesting. I highly
film.
recommend The Girl Next Door. Very, very funny, and it hasn't. From last time I saw it, hasn't really aged either. So,
no.
It's a bit kind of timeless in that sense. So, Jessen, have you seen The Girl Next Door?
Yeah, many years ago. When it took me a couple of seconds to remember the plot, but it was very, very funny. And was she in 24? Is that where she was famous? Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
She got lost
It's so frustrating in
that. I haven't really seen a lot. I've seen the first season of 24, but I haven't really.
Yeah. The Girl Next Door, it wasn't a movie that did very well at the box office, but it did really well on DVD sales at the time. It was one that, didn't catch the box office alive. I think it was like maybe 30, 50 million or something at the time, but it really made its money back. And Timothy...
Is it something of a cult film now, or is it just...
I don't think he's one that people necessarily come across now, because I don't think Alicia Cuthbert's gone on to be what a lot of people thought she was going to be in terms of a name. And I think if she had, that would be a film that people refine and revisit. So I think this is more of a case of just, word of mouth, or people
just got
kind
lost.
of telling him. Yeah, it just kind of got lost. But it's a very, very good movie. Very funny.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Plus you got Timothy Olyphant's in there. He's a show stealer in the whole film as well. And he's just amazing in everything he does, to be fair. So
yeah.
If only Go had a high school section, and then I would have put Go up there. But anyway.
Okay, so my next movie, it's getting really interesting now, because I'm looking at some of the lists that we have, and what I'm going to kind of put out there is Amrita's got her list. So she had The Faculty, she has Superbad, The Breakfast Club, Grease. There's quite a few on there. Now, there's a couple that I want to potentially go with that I want to make sure they get the list. But I'm just thinking, is it because I enjoyed the movie so much at the time because of my age? But has the movie aged as well as it could have? So for me, one that kind of is in that groove is kind of Cruel Intentions, because I know at the time I loved it, but was it because of the age I was when I saw it, and Sarah Michelle Gellar, and just the anticipation, the seduction part of it? It was, it was just something about it at that age. Well, I was probably like 15, I don't know, maybe I was 15, 16 when it came out. Maybe it was just like, oh, sexual awakening. This is what goes on in high schools. So, I don't know. So going back, it's been quite a while since I've actually seen it. But one that I want to make, one that I think kind of has to go in there, even though everybody in high school was in their 30s, is Grease. I think it's one that you can't not make the list. And it's one of the most popular movies of all time. It's a musical, it's whatever it is. Yeah, like I said, even though they're played by 30-year-olds, I think that for me, it is all about high school and that environment. It deals with abortion and all sorts, and sex and race cars and everything. So I'm sticking Grease in there.
Were they in their 30s? I'm sure they look like teenagers.
I know a couple of them are probably in their 30s, probably, but at least they're in their 20s.
Yeah. I mean,
Stockard Channing was in her mid-30s at the time. John Travolta was
in his 20s. They weren't 18, 17, 18.
Yeah.
So.
It's on my list because it's almost wholly set in a high school. It's a classic. Incidentally, I also had Cruel Intentions on my list, and I will argue that it does hold up. I mean, it's based on a famous book. It's based on Dangerous Liaisons and stuff like that. So it's basically, you go see the period version, you see John Malkovich hamming it up. So I'd argue that it's a really good film with its lots of twists. But I'd also like to point out that I'm the only one who isn't voting with my groin. We had Jessen with his "It's got girls I like in it." He's like, easy A. I used to have her poster on my wall until I couldn't see the image anymore. And you're sitting there going, I just wanted to see them kiss.
But I didn't put it on the list.
I'm the only one who's actually...
I have matured. Somewhat.
As I said, if we could do it like that, Evil Star 7 is going on the list. And Hentai Man Nancy.
Oh, good. Okay, so look, we've got 2 spots left. Okay, so to represent Amrita and Neil, I'm going to go shout through those, and if we think there's a film that we all agree on should fill those last 2 spots, we'll go through it. So we've got The Faculty, we've got Superbad. Superbad, I'm not sure how much of it is set in school, because I know it is kind of the beginning, and it's about them leaving school and going on.
Wait, how long's the list?
We've only got 2 more spots. It's top 10.
What was that, a top 10?
Yeah.
I got loads of films, man.
I appreciate it.
Oh man!
But we haven't got any John Hughes movies, so we've got The Breakfast Club.
That's on my list. If that doesn't go in, it's sacrilegious. I mean, I think that of the John Hughes, I mean, it has to go over Ferris Bueller, which is
not being at school. Agreed.
Spending the day. So that it has to go over that. It has to go in top of any other John Hughes movies. But only 16 Candles is based a bit in school and so forth. But Breakfast Club is solely set in or just outside of the school and is an absolute classic.
I thought you were doing. I thought this was like your sporting movies where you're going to do like a certain amount and we were going to label them all, and then like there'd be a knockout.
At the beginning of this podcast, I said top 10. We're all going to put 1 movie forward each. There'll be 2 spots. That's it. That's what we're doing. Because otherwise, we could end up having like 3 episodes on trying to figure out this top 10. There's loads of top 10 lists out there, so that we can do. So that's why it's tight, man. That's why we got to fight this out and try and make sure we get the movies we want on there. So man. So we've got.
I didn't know.
Yeah. So I
have to rethink what I've already given.
Well, this is where we replace some stuff, So okay, so we've got The Breakfast Club. I'm definitely down to have that in. Any arguments?
That's a classic. I think I only recently saw that, maybe last couple of years ago, because there's a lot of John Hughes films that I haven't seen, like a lot of the early stuff.
Yeah.
So I've only really kind of got into his films in the last few years. But Breakfast Club is.
All right, so we'll
classic
read out
club.
some of the other ones from Amrita. So we've got Cruel Intentions, which we mentioned. We've got 10 Things I Hate About You. We've got Scream, which for me is a real possibility. We've got Waves. Waves? I'm not sure I know Waves.
I've heard of Waves. I've not seen.
Okay.
It came out recently.
Booksmart. I don't know that. And then Mean Girls. So, but I think, like we said, we've covered that, I think, with Easy A. So, right, Sacha, that's your list. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Neil's list. So he had The Faculty, The Breakfast Club, Dead Poet Society. So he'll be happy. They're all in there.
I haven't said my list. But
No, we'll come to
like
that.
to,
We'll come to that.
Yeah.
I'm just representing Emery and Neil, who couldn't be here.
Oh, okay. Sure.
So he had Chronicle, which is sort of like that sci-fi movie. Kids.
The Just Shrank one?
I don't know. I can't remember how much of it's set in high school, though. I know they go to some parties and bits and pieces.
A lot. I've only seen it recently, so I'm
Yeah.
literally within the last few weeks. And it was a great film. It was a really interesting take on the superhero genre. But if you say the word high school to me, I forget that a little bit was set in high school.
I agree. He said Toy Soldiers, Sean Austin, Will Wheaton.
That's actually on my list. I mean, I'll fight for it, but I realised that it would be a very easy to topple spot. But I really enjoyed it. It was and in fairness, it's a soft one on my list.
I'm sure I've seen it, but again, it's been a long, long time. We've also got 21 Jump Street.
That was on my list.
That is a good shout, and maybe one that we need to come back to, because I think for me personally, it doesn't beat American Pie. But for a comedy movie and for a high school movie, does it beat Back to the Future and Girl Next Door and stuff like that? So maybe we might have to come back to that.
It was very, very, again, like American Pie. It was my floating 11, 12 spot, like always replaced and did.
We've got Friday Night Lights, Heathers, the Othello remake, like Josh Hartnett. We've got Pretty in Pink, Juice, the 2-pack film, Harry Potter movies. We haven't considered those. Bring It On, cheerleading in school, and then he had Back to the Future. So I think there's a couple on there we could definitely argue that will fill those spots. So Sacha, I've got your list here. Is there any?
That's not a top 10 though. That's like
just a general list. Okay, so
So my top 10 is American Pie, The Girl Next Door, The Breakfast Club, Superbad, Brick, Dope, Fast Times in Ridgemont High, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Heathers, and Run, Hide, Fight.
Okay, I know all those. I think he said Run, Hide, Fight. What's that?
It came out this year, actually. It's basically Die Hard in a school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's literally like these like kids come in and they decide to shoot up the high school and like kill their fellow students and stuff. And this girl,
is this a serious movie, isn't it? It's
or is it comedy? Yeah, it's quite a serious movie. It's an action thriller, but it's got comedy elements in there, like every action film does. But yeah, it might be, but it depends how the trailer was depicted.
I saw a trailer for a high school movie where there's a shooting in it, and it's very dramatic. It's not what I'm thinking. So
it's probably the same. It's probably the same movie. It's the only movie that of its kind that's come out recently.
Okay.
I'd argue that Toy Soldiers kind of ticks that box, and probably neither of them actually should be in the top 10. But Toy Soldiers, although obviously being in the 80s, maybe early 90s, was very much terrorists come to take over the school and the students fight back. But yeah,
okay. So, Greg, is there any on your list that haven't made it that you want to kind of put forward?
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, as I discussed, I had Heathers, Mean Girls, and stuff on the list, but I've replaced both of those because I thought I made my own that Easy A does the same thing. I've just got, when you talked about the school and the teacher and stuff like that, I immediately thought of Dangerous Minds.
Yeah, that is a good mention, man. Dangerous Minds. Yeah,
Dangerous Minds, and then I wanted Dangerous Minds the musical, so I also added Sister Act 2 because it is Dangerous Minds.
Happy days. Yeah. Right. Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I put those in there. I mean, the problem is when it comes to musical, there's Grease already on there. But do they? Should it be argued that we can only have one of each genre? But yeah, so Dangerous Minds just came to me when Jessen was talking about Mr. Holland's opus. And I thought, ooh, inspirational teacher. I then wrote down School of Rock, and then I crossed it out immediately, realizing that's not high school.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah. So I've got that. The other ones have all been mentioned. I've got Good Intentions, Grease, Toy Soldiers, although I realise that's probably not a serious contender. But then I did put Spider-Man Homecoming down. And as I said, I would argue that it is more high school based than Back to the Future, even though Back to the Future is an absolute classic. It even has Homecoming in the title, and that's definitely a school related.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, look, I think that maybe for this list, what we actually do is have a look at it and say maybe Back to the Future and Spider-Man, we actually maybe take them out for more actual movies set in high school as opposed to them being a little bit more commercial.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I think
because we know Back to the Future is going to make so many top 10 lists for different things.
And I will always sort of spit lyrical about the MCU, but I agree that it's not the ultimate high school movie.
I'm happy to take that out, so that frees up a spot. So I'm good with that. And so we've got another little list here then. So because one that I thought of, and again, high school is kind of college, and again because it went through the teacher aspect, was Whiplash.
Oh,
and I don't know how much we would class that as a high school movie, because obviously it's a very student-teacher relationship. It's very much a specific school. It's not a generic school, but it's a specific talents and music school thing. So I'm like, because that movie is like phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's an absolutely amazing movie.
I think it's very much one student, one teacher. So I think therefore I probably wouldn't include it. But it was worth mentioning. So, Jessen, what other movies do you have on your list that you wanted in the top 10?
A lot of it you kind of covered, but I'm going to put in kind of Hairspray, the musical.
That was also one of my my list always as well.
John Travolta.
It was only the Greek.
John Travolta drag is one of the greatest things in cinema history. He's just brilliant, and
it's him and Christopher Walken
and them two. It just shouldn't work, but it does. It's just one of those things that's like you're watching it and like you're thinking like Grease. You're thinking that's Danny Zuko, but he's in drag and he's singing to Christopher Walken. This, and then you got Zac Efron. You got I can't think of his name, but Cyclops. From the X-Men, he's brilliant. And you got Queen Latifah in it.
It's got quite a cast. No shout out for High School Musical, man.
I did think about that. No, it was.
Can I be uncontroversial and say that even though we would get so much hate and the comments section would blow up and most people think it's sacrilegious, I agree with Justin. I would put Hairspray over Grease. Very, very close contender, but I love Hairspray and Grease is cool, but at least they're high school age in Hairspray. So,
I mean,
I don't know if I can do it.
I know you couldn't, but at the moment, it's.
All right, well, we'll have to come back to that. I don't know if I can bring myself to do it. I think I've seen Hairspray maybe twice.
I don't really care either way.
You see people dancing to Hairspray at weddings and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? I just don't think it's had that same cultural impact.
In fairness, over the 20 years of DJ, I have to concede that the Grease Mega Mix gets people going crazy.
Okay, so all right, so we've removed Spider-Man and removed Back to the Future. So we've now got 2 more spots. So kind of from these lists, some of the ones that speak out to me is we've got Brick. Do we think that deserves a spot on the top 10?
Very much set in high school. The only thing is it's more about the detective aspect of it. If you haven't seen Brick, it's a phenomenal movie. It's Rian Johnson's debut movie. And it's literally about a guy who's looking for his ex-girlfriend who's gone missing. Because she doesn't show up to school and stuff. It takes him asking people around school, have you seen her? Blah blah blah, and it's very dark. It's quite a dark film. It's shot like a film noir, so it's like shot like a detective flick, but literally it's kids in high school. But how much high school is actual, like, even though it's set in high school and around the high school and stuff, it's not your typical high school movie. Okay. So as much as I want to put it in there for the mention, I would take it out.
Okay, so it might make another list.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Although my other choice below it, Dope, that's totally a high school movie, but it does have a crime element, but it's literally about kids selling drugs in high school, basically, or making up a big drug factory in the high school kind of thing.
Okay, I haven't seen that.
And it's quite literally, yeah, really good film. It's by Rick. I've forgotten his name, but the guy ended up directing episodes of The Mandalorian, all the Bill Burr episodes, and it's a really good, fun movie as well. But it's literally
What film was that?
Huh?
What film was that?
Dope.
Okay.
But it's quite literally, it's more of a comedy kind of high school film, because it's not necessarily all about the drugs, if that makes sense. But it's good. It's very good.
I mean, that then brings us back to 21 Jump Street. Probably clicks that niche and is just such a good remake of the original series, and is brilliant.
Yeah.
So
okay, so Dope, is that the 2015 movie?
Should be, yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay, so we definitely.
But then you know what? I know we got Easy A, but Mean Girls really did make an impact for the genre when it came out. I would argue Superbad as well, for the same reasons that American Pie did. You know what I mean? Like, Breakfast Club is in there because everyone thinks of Breakfast Club, but it's that same caliber film. Breakfast Club was that movie for that generation.
Yeah.
Same as American Pie was for our generation. Superbad, I've not seen it since I originally saw it, but I laughed out loud and enjoyed it. But the difference was I was in my 30s or maybe my late 20s when it came out. I'm not too sure when it came out, but I was older when I saw it, so it was aimed at people younger than us quite clearly. You know what I mean? So it was that generation's American Pie, Breakfast Club, etc. So when I think of stuff that has to be on there, I personally go for those breakout films. And I really do think that Mean Girls has a case over a lot of films on the list where it's that caliber.
Yeah, I agree. So
I've not seen Easy A to be able to make the comparison though. But yeah.
EA on the list, I can say, much as it's my choice, I don't disagree with you in the slightest. Easy A pips it for just things I could watch again and again now and stuff, but for cultural importance, Mean Girls amazing. And recently I was involved with the theatre production sort of thing, and there was a group of 4 of us who were kind of just very close, just having a giggle and having a laugh and stuff like that. And then lots of people were trying to kind of get in on our group and join in private jokes that went out, and we felt really bitchy that we were the popular kids and this and that, and we referred to us throughout that thing as the plastics. And depending on who was the meanest at any time, we were like, "You're Regina George today," and they're like, "No, I'm not Regina George. You're Regina." And so I can't help deny that it's a massive part of my upbringing as well. And so I would happily take Easy off for that, because I don't think you're wrong in the slightest, and I think that would be the more popular choice if you asked.
Yeah, definitely. Mean Girls is going to come to the forefront of most people's minds. But like I said, beginning, this is our list. It's not a case of we're saying these are the top 10. So, exactly. If you want Easy A, you have Easy A, man. So, I mean, I think there's definitely an argument for it. So, but I'm not necessarily passionate about either of those movies to argue the point that I think Mean Girls should be on there. So, Greg, I'm going to leave it with you. We can either have Easy A or it can be Mean Girls.
I mean,
which one do you watch
I'm going to have to.
That's what it comes down to.
Easy A.
There we go.
Easy A is slightly more, for me, is just slightly better with my humour than Mean Girls, and is probably aimed for the more general market. But yeah, I mean, I choose Easy A, but I think a lot of people go for Mean Girls. But yeah, if I have the choice, then I'm going to go for Easy A. But I completely concede all your points. I think it is Mean Girls and amazing, and it was on my list, but then got replaced by things like Dangerous Mind and Sister Act 2 when Jessen started.
Yeah, what matters is the fact that you've had the dilemma and our audience see that. Then Mean Girls getting on there. It was considered. It was very, very carefully.
Very Just watch Easy A if you haven't. Give it a chance and tell me that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah. So we need to fill this list now. So Heathers, 16 Candles. Should any of these Dangerous Minds? What do we think? Cruel Intentions, should that be on there? What are we filling these last couple of spots with?
Can I say that I think Cruel Intentions and Dangerous Minds should be a contender for those, whereas 16 Candles should really be in that or Breakfast Club, and I think there's a clear winner. So I think that Dangerous Minds does something that none of the others have done on the list. And in fairness, I've only just put it in because as I said, it suddenly came to my mind. Oh Christ, I forgot about that one. But I think it's slightly different. But then in theory, Dangerous Minds can be a slightly more hood and roughed up version of Dead Poet Society. So there's always an argument.
I'll say something sacrilege. Breakfast Club is the quintessential fucking John Hughes movie. It's set entirely in a detention setting. 16 Candles, yeah, it's a high school movie, but how much of it is in high school? If we're going to pick one John Hughes movie, pick the OG, man. Pick the OG. I agree. So Breakfast Club is in there. So out of Cruel Intentions and Dangerous Minds, what would you put through, Sacha? Cruel Intentions or Dangerous Minds?
I mean, I haven't seen Dangerous Minds since the cinema, so
yeah, that's the thing. This is the thing with both of these movies and why they're not in my top 10. They're because I've only seen them once and a real long time ago. Cruel Intentions sticks out more, mainly because of who's in it.
Because I've never had
yes. Yes, totally. And I'm not even going to deny that.
Either of them in there. So we could go with 21 Jump Street because, we all enjoy it. It's completely set in high school. It's very, very memorable. So, I'd put that in over, as much as I really enjoy Superbad, a lot of it doesn't take place in the school. So I would put 21 Jump Street over Superbad.
21 Jump Street.
I think I would as well.
Oh, that's sacrilege, man. That is actual sacrilege, because
Superbad's very much the next generation's American Pie. You hit the nail on it. It is. I don't agree with American Pie is the next generation's Breakfast Club. I just think it is a different generation.
I don't remember
Superbad is very much American Pie for the next
So
generation.
what about films like Rushmore, Heathers? What else have we got here? Napoleon Dynamite.
Heathers for sure.
Heathers was on my list as well. So
hang on, wait. Okay, you know what? Rushmore's a good shout, but it's very kind of what's his name? Is it Wes Anderson?
Yeah, I think so.
It's Wes Anderson, isn't it? Yeah, Wes Anderson movies. I like Wes Anderson's very hit and miss with me. I either like it or I don't like it. There's no in between. I did like this one. Bill Murray steals the show in it. But would I watch it again? It's not something I rush out to.
Yeah.
Heathers is a fucking classic, and I fucking love it. And Christian Slater is just fucking... Oh, man, he's fucking awesome in it. And it's probably one of the top Christian Slater films to watch. So I would put a stronger case over that, over the Wes Anderson film. As for Napoleon Dynamite, again, I love Napoleon Dynamite. I mean, come on, man. It's got Jamiroquai playing in that film, for Christ's sake. What's there not to love? But, and what's the guy? Pedro for president, man. But listen, it's Heathers. It's Heathers. I'm sorry, Napoleon Dynamite fans. For me, it's Heathers, man. If I was given those three, it's Heathers every time.
Okay, cool. Is there any movies that you guys feel you want to mention? We need to add in that we haven't. Just bring it on, make a enough case. 10 Things I Hate About You. What else?
I think that good fun, and again, in amongst like some of the sort of playful ones, high school and comedies and stuff, it was definitely a contender if it was a top 20 list. If there was a knockout stages, I'd put it in there, but I don't think it holds up against some of the strong ones. It's still a classic movie. I could easily watch it. Obviously, it's always great seeing Heath Ledger seeing he died far too early. It's, it's an adaptation for Shakespeare, so that's always quite fun, educate the kids and stuff. But at the end of the day, I just don't think it holds up against some of the better things like Mean Girls or Easy A.
And what about Scream?
Scream will be kicking out the faculty. That's its direct rival. And I don't think Scream, it's set in the high school, some of it, but a lot of it's a party, a lot of it's in and around. So I think it follows the same Back to the Future and Spider-Man.
Kind of the first half of the movie is kind of set in the high school because they're kind of dealing with, you've got the news reporters outside, but then it very much moves away to that. So they've got the party at the end, where all that happens.
Yeah, whereas the faculty, a lot of
yes, agree.
High school.
And I think that, again, speaks very much the same as Bill and Ted. The main part of that movie is not set in it, even though it starts there. They're doing it for a school report and stuff like that. There's not enough in it that I think we can say. It might go on the best comedies or sci-fi lists or something like that, but I think
I've
for
got
this one,
two
probably
things
not.
Okay,
so we may have.
As being an actor, like Fame, like the original one, is high school era sort of time. And it's kind of like when I did do performing arts and stuff like that, it's very similar sort of thing. So I can relate to Fame, the original.
Did you say Fame? Yeah, again, I think that's a classic as well. It's just we could end up doing high school. We could do music based on high school. We could easily do a top 10 list and still debate as well.
Okay, I've got 3 films that we haven't really talked about. But She's All That, man.
She's All That.
See, now that's a contender.
That is a good contender. Remake or reboot came out. It's coming out soon.
But instead of having that, I'd rather not another teen movie.
Yeah.
Oh no, you can't put any of those in there.
I'd rather that than She's All That, because I think they do it better.
Yeah.
In fairness, She's All That was great. I remember it had a kicking soundtrack. It was great at the time, but oh my god, the message is fucking atrocious in the modern day. Wokeism. Seriously, we will be.
I had that.
We'll be murdered by the
American
snowflakes
Graffiti?
if we put that in there.
Not really set in high school. Like, it's about high school teenagers.
Not enough of a
but
setting.
it's about.
Yeah.
But there's no high school in it at all. It's literally about high school kids driving their cars round the whole of Modesto, because that's what they used to do in those towns. They just drive cars and hang out and get drunk, drinking and driving at the same time. You know what I mean? But none of it's set in a high school. Maybe in a high school diner at various points in the movie, but not in an actual high school. There are no teachers in that movie. Sorry, George Lucas, you make this list. But one I'd mention, and this is a recent comedy which I really found hilarious, Fist Fight. With Ice Cube and Charlie Day, man. It's not even, fair enough, it's not about the students, but hey, it's all about the teachers going to war in that.
Bad Education, the movie.
I was just saying, what about Bad Teacher?
Yeah?
Yeah, again, it's good. I don't think it's in the same caliber, but I'd put that over Fist Fight. Jesus, go look at Fist Fight's Rotten Tomatoes or IMDb score, and tell me if you should even.
I don't even look at those things. I go by. You know what? Back when I used to work in the cinema, we'd see previews, so none of this shit count. I just watched the film and I'd have my own opinion, which is why I've always had like a weird opinion of certain films. Because I didn't read reviews, I just watched the film, and if I enjoyed it, I enjoyed it, because I'd see the movie a week or maybe the night before all of this shit came out, and that's what I loved about working in cinema. it's quite literally I'd have my own opinion before reviews on the internet.
If Fist Fight shares a list of Dead Poet Society, fetal position, crying my eyes out, going "fuck you, well." No,
I don't understand it.
Not happening.
I don't understand it.
Oh yeah, Donnie Darko.
I've seen it. Confuses me. I might have to watch it again, but I just watched it. It was like,
fair enough.
It's a good film.
Little Kids, Giant Bunny, Airplane,
Time Travel,
Darkness, Patrick Swayze in a G-string. I mean, what? You mean what's not to?
Oh, that was that.
Never Been Kissed?
All right.
No fans?
You know, in Drew Barrymore's films,
There's
it's
another
probably in her top 60.
I don't know if it'll be on the
Okay,
list.
so-
It just popped in my head.
It
It came out the same year as Black Panther. It was the Hate You Give, and it's about a issue.
I wouldn't put that as a high school
I thought it
film.
was.
That's
I thought-
more of a heavy drama, and a lot of it
Okay,
is
this one.
in the high school. But no, because it takes place like in the parents' convenience store. You've got outside. You've got the bit where the kid gets shot by the cops. You know what I mean? Like it's not. There are parts in the high school, and it's a very good drama for sure. And definitely, it made the top 10 of like the year it came out on my year's personal list.
Enough.
I wouldn't put it as a high school film myself. Really.
What about Fast Times at Ridgemont
But
High?
that's just me. Now, you know what? Like that again, yeah, a lot of it is set in a high school, but then there's a big chunk that isn't, if you know what I mean. It is a classic because whenever people like think of Sean Penn that actually saw it back in the day, he more or less had what Sean William Scott had. He played a character that was called Spicoli. A lot of people that remember that movie still call him Spicoli because they can't take him seriously as an actor. But I mean, you know, it's a good film. I don't think it's as good as half the stuff we've said, if that makes sense, brought up and stuff. I mean, it's in my top 10, but in terms of what we've put of a collective, you know what I mean? I don't think it makes the cut.
Okay. Well, we might have our final list then. So let's just go through it. So we've got The Faculty, Dead Poets Society, American Pie, Mr. Holland's Opus, Easy A, The Girl Next Door, Grease, The Breakfast Club,
list.
21 Jump Street, and Heathers.
Yeah, I'm good
I
with
think
that.
it's a pretty strong list. Is there any film that anybody has on their list which are like, I think this should be in it?
I don't think inspirational teacher-wise, Dangerous Minds should maybe take Mr. Holland's Opus. Sorry, Jessen, but I just think it's better known and stuff like that. I remember I must have seen Mr. Holland's Opus because I remember the name and it's quite an obscure name for a movie, you know. And I remember thinking, oh yes, that rings a bell.
Does anyone,
But if I'm having to go, I think I've seen it because I know the name that rings a bell, and that's
does
probably
anyone remember?
not sort of entrenched deep in
I
my
only seen
heart.
it once,
whereas
but Coach
Dangerous
Carter
Minds.
with Samuel L. Jackson. Kind of similar film about inspirational teachers. And then I was thinking of Please Sir with Love with Sidney Poitier. Yeah, I'm going way back. I'm going really way back in the 60s. But I remember watching it years ago. And
Sidney Poitier,
is one of my favourite actors. And it is a good story from what I remember years ago. But
Yeah, that is a good shout.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm not such a. I think for me, the best thing in Dangerous Minds was the soundtrack and the song. So I'm not one that's going to fight for it. Like I said, I haven't seen it since the cinema. So, Greg, you got your Easy A. Jessen, you'll keep your Mr. Opus. That's absolutely fine. Because you could argue, when you're talking about like teacher movies, you could say like Remember the Titans, and stuff like that. So there's a lot of sports movies where they coach high school kids into it, which we could do that. But I think we've kept that to top sports movies and stuff like that. So I'm fine with that. Okay, I think we've got our list.
We've got a lot done.
So what's the list?
So our final list, to repeat, is we've got The Faculty, Dead Poets Society, American Pie, Mr. Holland's Opus, Easy A, The Girl Next Door, Grease, The Breakfast Club, 21 Jump Street, and Heathers. It's a pretty strong list. Now, obviously,
good list.
Yeah, I think obviously there'll be people in the comments going, "Oh my god, how could you miss X, Y, Z?" But that's what it's about.
Hey, wait, did we turf out Superbad?
It never made it.
What?
Jump Street went in ahead of it. I think Jump Street is more of a high school movie, and the way it utilizes the high school environment better than Superbad.
You heard, guys, I'm fighting for Superbad, but I'm on my own. I have no backup from Neil or Chris.
Superbad.
Or anybody.
Maybe what we'll do is we'll do a top 10 movies with house parties, and then that can go into there.
Teen Wolf. Oh, yeah, Teen Wolf.
Play.
I forgot Teen Wolf.
But no, I just don't think it quite makes that list.
Oh,
any love for Teen Wolf?
Ooh, Teen Wolf. Nah.
At least you mentioned it. It's fine.
Yeah, but it was a good shout. It was a good shout. I'll give it that. It was definitely a good shout.
What about Ever? I mean,
yeah. I don't think Michael J. Fox wants it mentioned.
Okay, cool. All right, well, that's our list. Let us know in the comments, what you thought of our list. Do you feel that we should have picked something else over the others? Should we have picked Scream over Faculty? Should we pick Mean Girls over Easy A? Should we pick Superbad over 21 Jump Street? Let us know your thoughts. If so, they can tell you that you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. Gentlemen, where can they find you on social media?
Trooper. And
Jessen.
on the Geek Monty. So just Google Geek Monty and you'll find us.
Cool. Greg?
I forget every single time, but I think I'm on Instagram under Board Game with Greg.
Same as Twitter, I think, as well. Yeah.
In and around that. Yeah, Twitter as well, yeah.
Sashman3 on Twitter.
Cool. And you can find me on Twitter at Kenan Talks Film, as in the little thing at the bottom of the screen here. And make sure you listen to all our episodes of the Creative Control podcast. We have our video versions obviously on YouTube, where we do some other exclusive content like trailer reactions. You've got all our different playlists there. So we've got trailer reactions, movie reviews, and then obviously our episodes. And I've also got one for Warzone for when me and Sacha are playing, and we get our wins, our resurgence. But you can also find our podcast on
or losing or losses.
I don't post the losses. I don't think YouTube's got
okay.
enough
You should, because sometimes they're jokes.
I got enough memory on my computer for that, man. But yeah, you can get our podcast on all major platforms: Apple, Google, Amazon. What else? Spotify, Deezer, Stitcher, Google Pod, Good Pods, everywhere. So make sure you check us out. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and share the love. It'd be much appreciated. And just make sure you tell us what maybe some top 10 lists you'd like to see from us next time. I think we've definitely got some in the works. We'll be doing sci-fi, action, thrillers, horrors, all sorts of stuff. We might have to do some top 10s by particular actors as well. Tom Hanks, Tom Cruise. Yeah, exactly. So we'll do some various ones, because I think in this day and age, so many movies cross genres. It's really hard to say this is this movie fits in these brackets kind of thing. So we'll have to argue over those, which fits in thriller, which fits in sci-fi, which are action, which are sci-fi, and that kind of stuff. So, all right, well, thank you very much for your time today, gentlemen. Much appreciated. And until next time, ring that bell. Peace out.